Hello Dino Peeps, I just recovered from my nasty cold that I had the past 2 weeks and I did not have the time or the energy to prepare a little bit of content for you about ARK, so I figured I'd do a little bit of a story time for you because some of you are here for a longer time but some of you are fresh and just discovered me in the past year and you have no idea who I am, what about this channel is special, and what my journey with my channel really is. So I figured I'd do a little bit of a story time, how I started this whole thing and why I started this whole thing and how it went and what experiences I have. Maybe some people of you also played with the thought to make your own content and make your own channel and you're second guessing yourself and you're doubting yourself. And maybe my thoughts can help you to push you in either the direction to make your own channel or in the other direction that you realize it's maybe not for you. But I hope that my thoughts and my journey can help you a little bit. And for everyone who's not interested in making their own channel, I hope you are a little bit entertained by what I have to say. I was creating content since 2013. I started the channel 2012 and 2013 was the first time where I uploaded my own solo gaming videos, I would say, my first own gaming videos, and I was super shy. I did not want to talk into my microphone and I was super afraid of hearing my voice being recorded, and it was really weird for me. It was a really weird time because I had to edit my videos, and around 2000, I don't know if you remember, around 2013 to I would say 2016, this was the big time of Let's Plays where people were just like recording and not even like editing, but they would just cut up the recording into like bits and pieces that they just uploaded as episodes, and I had a ton of episodes. At that time I realized it was not really what I wanted to do. Instead of second guessing my content, I was second guessing myself, and I was thinking, if this is not really what I enjoy and if this is not really what I can grow my channel with, then maybe the whole thing is not for me and maybe I shouldn't do it. So I let my channel rest for a few years until I think it was a year before the pandemic started that I went big and intensive into ARK again and was playing on a cluster. And I always try to help out everyone playing on the cluster. I try to give advice. I try to help with strategies. And at some point, someone on the cluster did a boss fight and they completely failed the boss fight. They wiped completely. They were super disappointed, and I was asking them what they did in order to completely wipe at the boss fight. And they said, yeah, I was following this YouTube tutorial and it looked so easy. So I just did what was done in the video. I thought it was super easy, but then it was really hard in reality, and I don't know what I did wrong because I did everything the video said. So I looked at the video. This video was a boss fight tutorial, but basically everything in that boss fight tutorial was, I would say it was intentionally tweaked in a way to make it look more impressive. I think that is the nicest way I could describe it. It was realistically not followable if you were playing on a server with normal rates and normal settings. I think that's the most neutral, fair way I could say it. And when I saw that there is like so much advice out there that is not fitting and that is not true and that is just out there to make clicks but not to help people, I got really angry at first. I had like this deep feeling in me that I want to do something to change this. I want to help those people, like this random guy on our cluster who had the issue that he just wiped at the boss fight. And he didn't know what he was doing wrong, and he was preparing for weeks to fight this boss fight. So I decided to start the channel. I decided to start with advice videos, with tutorial videos, and I tried to put all of the knowledge that I have gathered in the past. At this point, I was at 8,000 hours, I think, trying to put all of the knowledge that I had gathered in those hours into videos and try to help people. And this is how it all started. So I started doing this first on my German channel, and later, because all of my audience was basically international, I did have a German audience, but it was not as big anymore because I was streaming in English. So I started doing a second channel which is this channel you're on right now. I proceeded to upload into 2 languages and uploading basically the same content but in 2 languages. And this is the reason how I started and why I started. As you can imagine, at the time when I started doing my tutorials, and one of my first videos I actually did was my breeding tutorial, my breeding video, the long one. And I had no idea how modern YouTube works. I had no idea what had changed since 2016. So I just pushed myself through. I was second guessing myself all the time and I was doubting myself and I was hating myself for starting so big projects and so big videos that would take me weeks to finish. And I honestly don't like watching my old videos or like my old... it's hard to say old videos, but my videos from when I started back again, because I feel like there was so much room for improvement and so many things I have learned since then that I'm doing now that I didn't do back then, that it's like hard for me to watch. But I know that some of these videos are actually like the most popular videos on my channel. But yeah, I had to learn quite a bit and I had to look into other channels, how they did things. I had to look into YouTube guidelines, what I was allowed to do and what I was not allowed to do. I looked into growing strategies, but not in a way that I trick my viewers and I manipulate my views, but more in a way that I know what kind of content works, so that I don't upload like 2 hours of gameplay where I barely say something, but where I learn how to make engaging content and how to make content that people love to see. In the time, I have been watching a lot of like advice channels and channels that give you tips and hints about how to grow. It got me into like this mindset of, yes, I can do this and yes, I can grow. And it all worked out in the beginning very well. The more I learned about YouTube, the more I learned about my channel, how my channel was evolving and how my channel was doing, the more I learned that all those advice channels, or most of those advice channels, have zero idea what they were doing. They were all just winging it as they went. Some people were just absolute frauds and trying to sell me stuff that wouldn't have helped in the first place. And it was a little bit disappointing because some of these channels really gave me the motivation to push through even when I was not feeling it, and gave me like this extra energy boost. And then to see that those channels actually had no idea what they were doing themselves and were just in for selling me ebooks and stuff was a little bit disappointing, but it taught me a lesson. It taught me the lesson that sometimes when you want to achieve something, the straightforward way that everyone is telling you is not the right one, or doesn't have to be the right one. Sometimes it's easier to just learn as you go and learn from what you experience instead of just following a straight written down way that someone has decided is the right one. One thing I had my fair share of was negative comments. Yes, negative comments. I received a ton of negative comments. I received a ton in the beginning because I think there's this overall reputation that people have a big distrust for YouTubers, especially when it's in the educational field. I mean, I would say tutorials are kind of an educational field of gaming. People have a big mistrust in YouTubers doing that because there's so much clickbait around and so much not so legit made tutorials to make it look easy and and just to make it look cool, that a lot of people have just failed doing things following tutorials. So I got the fair share of hate that people had in their hearts towards YouTube tutorials. And it took a long time to gain the trust of people by making tutorials that actually worked and making tutorials that were based on knowledge and facts and not on hearsay. One thing I learned, and that is something that nobody told me before, nobody who was in the YouTube space before told me before, is that the more successful your channel gets and the more viewers you get, the more hateful the comments get. I mean, it's logical because you're kind of leaving your little safe space that you have created on YouTube and you're leaving the bubble of people that know you. But when my first video ever got a big amount of views, I logged into YouTube the next morning and I was flooded with negative comments. I was flooded with straight hateful comments, and I had never experienced that before because that is not the kind of community that I try to have and that I try to grow. And I didn't know what I did wrong because, of course, I always expect me doing something wrong. So people react negatively because when you have a community where you kind of trust each other, then if somebody goes wrong and people are negative, you know that something you did was not quite right. But in this case, I had to learn that as soon as a video gets slightly more reach and it enters a space outside of your own community space, then you will get the full hatred of people that are around on the internet. And it took me a while to just accept this, that I can't change this and that it's just how people are. But at the beginning, it was really painful and I was second guessing myself a lot. And I was thinking, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I shouldn't do YouTube. Maybe they want to tell me something. Maybe it's just a sign, you know? But no, it's not. It's just people on the internet and I had to learn this. Another thing I noticed, and that is very funny actually, because I always thought that was some kind of cliche that people talked about. When my YouTube channel, especially the German one, when it was like taking off and I got tons of subscribers and views each month basically, that people I haven't heard from in a long time, some even years, suddenly just step back into my life and be like, hey, I just saw you do YouTube. Let's catch up a little bit. How you doing? How's it going? And that was really awkward for me because I was never the person that people just came to and really wanted to chit chat and wanted to have some small talk. And I'm not a small talk person in general. So I had to learn that some people accept you more and respect you more the more you present to the outside. And I don't know. I don't blame those people. Maybe they just had to see my face somewhere in order to remember that I existed. But it was funny to see because like I said, I always thought that was some kind of cliche that people always talk about, but actually, it actually is like that. I also had like the other way around, that people that I was very close with suddenly started to distance themselves from me, like not in a drama way, but in a way where it felt like the interests were just going apart and you didn't have anything to talk about anymore. And I think that is something that comes with when you start something like YouTube, which is taking a lot of your time. And YouTube is, I mean, I don't want to be too negative, but YouTube will sit in your brain as soon as you start making content. It will sit in your brain and will always tell you that that you're not doing enough. It will always tell you that there should be another video out. It will turn every thought into a video idea. And if you have this mindset, it is really hard to not think about this and also to not talk about this. And I think that is something that people who are not like in the whole YouTube sphere can't really relate to. And so I don't blame those people who felt like they don't have anything in common with me anymore and they have nothing to share with me anymore because my brain was always like I need to do a video. So that was like the other extreme. So it was kind of a roller coaster, really, how people interacted with you. And it is kind of important that you figure out during the whole process who you can talk to, who is interested in you as a person, who you can trust. And that is a big thing, who you can trust, who just enjoys you as a person. That is something that is hard to figure out. And I mean, even without YouTube, that's already something that is super hard to figure out. But with like the whole YouTube thing around, it is even harder. So for the next year, I am planning to have a little bit more videos than this year. This year was really a hard year for me. So I just let 2022 being 2022 and look forward into the next year. I don't want to go too much into detail what kind of things all went wrong. This year was definitely not my year. I hope the next year is going to be better and the next year is going to be more positive, full with new videos. Like I said, it's your head is always in the YouTube mode. I hope the next year is full with new videos and that we can explore and experiment a little bit more. Once you start with YouTube and once you have some things that are working, you get so scared experimenting. And I want to get out of this. I want to get out of this fear of experimenting and trying new things. I want to try new things. And next year is the year where we do this. You guys and me, we do this together. We experiment. So I hope my long rambling video was somewhat interesting for you, so you understand how the whole journey was for me. I always love to make these kind of at the end of the year videos where I have a little bit of a look back of what has happened and what will happen, and have a little bit of a closure for the year. Let me know what you think. If any one of you is also planning on starting your YouTube channel or is having a YouTube channel right now and has the same fears, the same thoughts and feelings, just know that I totally understand you and that I went through the same stuff, and sometimes it's just easier to wing it, not be scared, and just do it. Just put your videos out there, even if they're terrible. Sometimes it's more important to bring a video out than to bring a perfect video out. And you can only learn and get better by making mistakes. Okay, that was my little motivational speak for the day. I see you in the next video, and I would love to read from you in the comments. Have a good one. Bye bye.